And hello, today we have a simple video, which I'm happy about, Leslie's happy about it. We're looking at the EVH Hypersonic. So EVH/Fender, hey Sydney, sent me this cab and hopefully money for the video. I don't know, I haven't checked. So we're reviewing it. Now, I've looked at some FRFR cabs, not all of them. I've done a big video on wedges, professional PA wedges as FRFR. One of the issues with the PA wedges, they are great, they're in wedge form, everything fine, but they're not necessarily equipped to actually send your signal through to the PA, in which case you will need a modeler that has an extra output. Why a modeler? Well, because these are full range speakers with built-in amplifiers. In this case, 1,000 watt, which is pretty crazy number. It's supposed to get you a stage/rehearsal sound out of a guitar-shaped cab, right? It's not shaped like a guitar. I mean, a cab-shaped. It's supposed to give you, like, when you're on the stage or in the rehearsal, the sound out of a thing that looks like you bought it, but it was for guitar. You know what I'm talking about. With a lot of power to get your modeling sounds loud. Is it supposed to be mic'd? Well, hell no. Because your modeler has the cabs inside modeled and sending that to the front of house or to your mixer or wherever in your practice room. So this is really for personal monitoring, which is why the sound of it mic'd is pretty irrelevant, which is also why there's no mics in front of it, which is why we're micing it in a room with a room mic from AEA. We'll get into that later. I've looked at other brands, and whether EVH wants to give me money for this video or not, it's a review. So I am comparing it to other brands. A floor wedge is fine. It's full range, but it might not have the features of the EQ, which you pretty much want, and the chaining it through to the front of house. So you will need an extra output on your modeler. You might still want that anyway with this because of different frequency responses, and we're going to get to that. It is not the lightest because it's got balls, right? It's got a 12 in it, some kind of tweeter. It's full range because whatever simulations you have in your modeler, you want full range into you with all the frequencies in this cab. You don't want the speaker in there to shape the guitar sound like a 12-inch speaker usually would, because that shaping has already happened in the model with an IR or whatever impulse response, for those who don't know. This is a personal monitoring system for stage and rehearsal, which is why it also has these very nifty, I can't see it, oh yeah, there, things on the side where you can angle it so you can actually, up here, hear it much better. High frequencies are directional. So when you're standing up, this is a much better idea instead of blasting it at your feet like with a normal cab. So that way you can hear it a lot better at a lower volume. You're not going to be the guitar player cranking up and cranking up because you can angle it. In that way, and I'm going to say it, it is equally equipped to the Tonex cab, which is a tiny bit smaller, has 350 watt, not 1,000. I do like the sturdiness of those angly things because they have like a rubber strip and they're really tight on the cab. It is feature-wise not the same thing. Now on the Tonex cab, let's get this right out of the way. We have built-in IRs. Don't quite know what the idea is, but you could then just go to it dry with something and then run one IR throughout the whole gig. Could be while you're doing other Rs to the front of house. Maybe that's why. I don't quite fully get that. You've got a whole EQ section, which you have here as well. There's an amp knob on the other one, which is, again, also just an EQ. But if we look at the back here, we have an input and an output. So you go in with your modeler mono and output to the front of house, and that can be ground lifted, and that is all there is. Now on the Tonex cab, you can actually put an aux in, which would be the front of house mix, so you can determine, you yourself, on your personal monitoring device, how much of the band you get in there, and how much of you have in there. However, 1,000 watt versus 300, 500 and something versus 700 and something. More money, more features. Okay? In that regard, the other one is not better. It's more expensive with more features. It makes total sense. This is pretty straightforward. But actually, before we look at that, let's take it out of the box and see how they deliver it. We already covered a lot, probably too much before the other stuff. I just forgot about the other stuff. The other stuff is product shots with some sounds in the room. Okay, so now you've seen all that. Let's look at the top. We got a volume which up to half is pretty bearable in the room. Doesn't kill me. I had it about here and that's fine. If you go anywhere here, it gets brutal and I don't want to kill myself, so we're not doing that. You do want to employ the EQ depending on what you're feeding it, and we're going to check that in a bit. Nice handle. Low, mid, high. And this is actually really important. If it's too bitey, you have a Vox style cut. So you can cut the top end. See it as a presence, but reversed. And then we got a big ass red light and a switch. And that's really it. It's a very straightforward product and we've already spent way too much time on it. But we're going to pump some fractal sounds in there. Why? Fender would probably like it, because it's a Fender sponsored video, if I use the Tone Master Pro and probably a Fender or Jackson or something like that. But that's not what we do. That's not what we do on the channel here. First of all, don't have a Jackson. That's probably one of the reasons. And also, I don't have a Tone Master Pro. It's on the way though, and I'm going to take a look at it for you, but it's not here, which is why Fractal FM9 is on the floor. And that's just going in there and that's it. It's a very straightforward setup and you could play a bunch of gigs without a problem with that at a good volume. Now, one of the issues I just discovered, and that is an issue that you have in general with your modeler and FRFR, that has nothing to do with the Hypersonic from EVH, is the range of frequencies and low end and high end of what comes out of the modeler is drastic. So you will have to program your sounds in two ways. A, how do they come out of front of house? And have it more homogeneous, meaning don't feed the guy 17 different IRs and in one song there's all this low end trash in the rest of the band. In the next song, there's no low end. And I will show you those differences. So when it comes to what you're feeding the front of house guy, be careful. When it comes to what you're feeding this, same thing. It can sound way too big, it can sound way too bitey, but it's all depending on what you're feeding it. And you're not going to run there and in between songs re-EQ. So sit down with the cap, program your sounds so everything is equal, so that what you're doing with the EQ there will work for all of your sounds. If you've done this, likelihood is that the front of house guy can manage your sounds much easier because they're already kind of equal in low end, mids, high end, etc. Because you want him to be able to put you somewhere in the mix. If you all of a sudden switch a preset and there's all this low end, he's going to pull you down, nobody's going to hear you. So a way you can do this is either use individual outputs. I mean, your Quad Cortex has it and the Helix has it, the FM9 has it. I'm pretty sure the Tone Master Pro has that ability to have an output going front of house with one set of IRs or EQ on it and another output going to the FRFR with another set of IR/EQ on it. I'm not going to change IRs or I'm just going to go, I will change IRs actually. I'm going to presets. I'm in something that's called MF Euro, no idea what that means, and I'm on clean. Whatever is happening in terms of effects, which probably works fine DI when you're going into a DAW or something, in the cab seems exaggerated. So you might want to pull down on your effects if you really want to have the feeling like you're playing through an actual guitar rig, because it's a lot of effects, right? And this is called clean dry. I mean, it's not very dry. I could, of course, tune this in the FM9, but the interface on it is so convoluted that I don't know how, and I'm not gonna. How you hearing this? In the room, right there, is an AEA R88. It's a huge-ass, very expensive stereo ribbon, which has the ability to actually capture? What's with my English today? Capture the in-the-room sound very truthfully. So, that's an Ibanez gem. Not a gem, it's a Pia, and I modded it. To me, A, too much reverb, and B, a bit too muddy, but instead of going in there, let's figure it out here. Fixed. If we go to the rhythm here, looks like the mids are around 600 to 800 hertz, which is the creaminess, fullness mids. So I wanted a little bit more low end there. Obviously, you're not going to do this change live on the actual Hypersonic, so be prepared to program your sounds. Loads of effects there. Let's switch presets and go to something here. That's a good example. Oh, before I forget it, I like how roadworthy it is. First of all, not ridiculously expensive. 500 something bucks for 1,000 watts, 112 mobile. It's a tool. Throw that in the trunk. If it gets scratched up, come on, that's a freaking tool. But it has metal corners, which is very nice. I did once have the Line 6 power caps here, which do have speaker simulation. They do have ASEBU for digital connectivity with the Helix. They're very, very fully featured. But A, honestly, it sounded super muddy no matter what I fed into them. And B, no corners or anything. So yeah, it looks pretty, but that's not roadworthy. This is a tool. So it doesn't have to look pretty. It's got to have freaking corners. Also, you get it in white because EVH has that stuff. And that's kind of cool. It'll look pretty messed up once you put beer on it, but I mean, hey, rock and roll! So here we're on Still Blue. Very bitey. We're gonna go center again. Nice and balanced sound. Let me try to crank that up, it's gonna distort. Just checking how it feels in the room. So here's a thing. So I switched to that cranked 45 and all of a sudden the low end is way too much. Not cool. I can't fix it there, but you should fix it in your modeler to be homogeneous. See, it's totally doable, but now I'm stuck there, right? So if we go to small box, that's a frequent small box, something Edesque, if I might say so. And the cool thing is we've got scenes here that a 412 with a V30, a 412 with a greenback, a 412 with a G12.6 and blah, 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 and even a 1.4. So this is a nice way to illustrate different speaker sounds within the same FRFR. All with a reverb there, a little bit low and down, a little bit high and up. A lot of reverb again. That's a little 4-inch speaker. You can see it's a pretty huge range of sounds which I would want to tweak with the EQ, but you're not going to do that live. So make sure you're staying on the same or very, very similar caps when you're switching presets. Program your modeler for the set you're playing together with the cap you have, and then make sure it's all very equal, because you wouldn't have those jumps with an actual guitar cap. We have them dry. So if there was a bit too much top end, we can employ the cut. So all that is, it's a Jennifer Lopez filter. It's a low pass filter. It's just making a joke. Wind is killing everything outside. So for me, top end's fine. And there you have it. That's the EVH Hypersonic. Not overpriced. Doesn't have all the features that some others have. However, those others have higher price tags. Weight is not ridiculous, not light. Size is like a normal 112, maybe a little bit bigger. Tweakable, which is important. Very loud if you wanted it. That's important. And it's got the cool EVH logo on it. That's what I got to say. I'll put links below. Like, subscribe, do all that, and animals at the end.